Welcome back to the JeffersonKRogers podcast. We got a special episode today. I got all three of my little brothers here. And if you see these initials on my shirt, we actually named the company after the 4 J's. We all have the same initials. Jefferson, Jared, Justin, Jacob, and we all have the middle initial K. So there's some special meaning behind JKR Windows, and today's going to be fun because we're going to talk about lots of exciting things about our upbringing and the things that we're going through right now in life, how we see the future playing out for JKR Windows, and we got some exciting topics to cover today. We're going to try and add as much value as we possibly can, like always, but let's go around and just introduce ourselves, huh? I'm JeffersonKRogers, obviously.
JKR number 1. Right?
JKR number 1.
Yeah. JKR number 2, Jared. Jared Kent.
Jared Kent.
I'm number 3, so Justin Christopher Rogers, the best.
I don't know about that, but
Claiming it, staking claim.
number 4 over here, Jacob Caden Rogers.
Jacob, the youngest of the JKR boys. So some of the things that we wanted to talk about today, I think one of the funnest things to talk about is going to be our upbringing and all the experiences that we had, the things that made us who we are today. And we had a fun childhood. Mm-hmm. We were talking about this on the last podcast a little bit about just the free reign that we had as kids. Our parents were busy. They're working their asses off. You know, we got raised by a single mom for most of my life as a kid. I think I moved away when I was 14. But mom was working all the time. Dad was working all the time. And we just had free reign. We'd get on our bikes and we would go anywhere we wanted to.
Mm-hmm. For as long as we wanted to.
As long as we were home by a reasonable time, not too long after the sun went down, we did whatever we wanted. Drank out of sprinklers, everybody's garden hoses, jumped fences.
Yeah. Builds your immunity. Sucking irrigation water out of the drip lines, out of the tree sprinklers at the elementary school.
Just to cool down in the hot St. George weather.
Yeah. No, we had it good, man. I tell people all the time that we were kind of like the last generation in St. George to get to enjoy all of what St. George had to offer before it all got developed. You know, the house we had in Dixie Downs behind Lynn's, we literally ride out of our garage, hang a left, a right, and a left, and we were in the desert. And we had miles and miles of deserts. Right now, it's all houses.
Mm-hmm. All that is.
So we had sand washes, we had dirt bike jumps, we had pedal bike jumps. You know, we take our BB guns out there, go hunt. Just had free reign, you know, and that's from a young age too.
Yeah, so. And even our other house that we grew up in, we had the Black Hill right there, exploring the Black Hill. And then one of the funnest things growing up was just, dude, we would go out in the backyard on the brick walls and just walk around the neighborhood on the brick walls.
Yeah. Grab pomegranates from the neighbors in the backyard.
There was the pomegranate trees. There was apricot trees, cherries,
strawberries. Certain times of the year, we'd walk home from school, and this lady would have a patch of strawberries, bro. And
free snacks, man.
Free snacks. Everybody would jack them, dude.
The honeysuckles. There was that one honeysuckle tree on the way to school, man.
Yeah, right by the Stouts.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the bike riding. We grew up. I did some rollerblading too. I think we all did a little bit of rollerblading.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But the bike riding, dude, that got us from point A to point B, and all across the entire city of St. George. It wasn't very big, but I mean, we could get from one side of town to the other on our bikes, easy, and we did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like 10, 12-year-old kids too, getting together with a group of friends. We'd have no water. You know, we'd stop by the gas stations and get the coffee creamers and stick the little straw in the coffee creamer cup and suck those down. A couple people yell at us like, "Hey, you got to pay for those!" Like, oh, everyone else is taking them for free. So,
yeah.
But we made do, man. I don't know how we Nowadays, people don't let their 10-year-old kids go with their other 10-year-old kids and ride
holy
clear
shit.
across town
No,
in
let alone
the dead of
their
summer.
7-year-olds.
I mean, it gives me anxiety to think about the stuff that we did and thinking about my kids doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try to like kind of bring out what we went through and instill it into our kids, but I still, it's different, man. And mom always told us that, dad always told us that, just wait till you get older, wait till your parents yourself. And now we know.
Yeah.
It's like that protective instinct of like, I want to let them go, but then you worry about everything.
And because of the world that we live in now, it's made us all fucking paranoid about letting our kids do that stuff, even though it's probably not much different than it was when we were kids.
Well, I think technology's got a lot to do with it, right? Because technology is keeping these kids home staring at their fucking phones, their iPads all day. Most people don't even give a shit about going and hanging out with their friends.
Yeah.
Or going across
that has
town.
a lot to do with it.
So we weren't exposed to that kind of shit. So, riding the bikes, like I remember all 6th grade I had to ride my bike to school because I mooned the bus driver and they kicked me off the bus. So I had to ride out to Coral Cliffs every
Sounds
day.
about right.
And I'd leave early. I'd leave like an hour early so I'd go jump the jumps for an hour because it was right next to school.
Right.
Wow.
And depending if I didn't, if I was having a good day, I wouldn't even fucking go to school. I'd just jump all day.
Feeling good on the jumps.
Yeah, and then hit mom up and be like, yeah, this kid, he fucking broke his leg. I had to stay there and support him. I wasn't able to make it to school. She's like, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, mom, bless her heart. She
Yeah.
believed way too much of what you told her.
I don't know if she really did. She
Yeah,
just
she probably didn't.
she let us get
Just
away with
didn't
a
want
lot.
to deal with facing, like making you face the lies.
You know what's cool though is all those experiences that we had and going out and being able to do what we wanted and make do with what we had and ride across town with no supplies and just know. I never questioned once whether or not I was going to be able to make it back or whether or not I was going to find what I needed to be able to be across town all day long. We never even thought about it. We just knew that we were going to be able to do it and make it work.
Well, we always had a goal. We always had a
had
goal of where
checkpoints.
we were going to go, what we were going to do,
Exactly.
whether we were riding to the mall, riding to the skate park, riding to a buddy's house. So
Yeah.
we had that goal in mind, and whatever it took to get there, we were going to make it happen. And we just kind of figured it out along the way. So
Yeah, like riding to Mathis Park was probably one of my favorite things to do is because it had that tadpole, little farm pretty much that we had found on
Yeah.
the way there. So that was like what I was talking about. Like we had checkpoints and there was all these like under the bridges and stuff. Me and Justin would go and just wreak havoc and
All the fun things
all the
along
fun
the
things,
way.
man. Just different checkpoints of like, all right, now we're to Mathis Park. All right, let's
Yeah.
jump in the little pond that we're not supposed to jump into with our bikes too.
But I think a lot of those experiences, without those, I'm kind of worried about my kids because they approach life differently because of the things that they've been exposed to, and because of what we were exposed to, we've been able to use it in our lives, and it's whether we realize it or not, it's created who we are and our ability to figure things out and have trust and confidence in our ability to just know that whatever we have put in front of us, we're going to be able to get past it. But how do you reproduce that in your kids without having those same type of experiences? And is it even possible?
That's a very good question. That's kind of what I was saying earlier is like, I want to be able to have my kids experience all that fun stuff that we went through, but there was a lot of hard stuff with that, all the dangers and stuff, I guess you could say, that we went through. But it was all, like you said earlier, we didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
If we went through something like Justin when he crashed on his bike and he was like 3 miles away from home and he completely tore into his shin, he just got up, went back home.
well, we were hardened from a very early age.
Yeah.
We'd fall down, get hurt, start crying, start bleeding. Dad's like, is it broke? Well, get up and walk it off then. So that was just the kind of the mentality that we had. It's like, well, if we can get up and keep going, we're going to get up and keep going.
Yeah.
It's like even when we broke bones, Dad's like, you need to go get it checked out. You're going to be okay. You all right? Like snapped leg. Like, oh yeah, I probably should go get it looked at. It feels a little hurt. And so, that's the mentality that we had from an early age. So we just have that like permanently. But in our own kids, man, our own kids haven't been exposed to the same environment that we were in as young kids. I mean, obviously we're pretty tough dudes, and you know, I don't baby my kids in that regard, but you know, the things that we
there's
did with
difference
Dad,
though in what you can teach your kids just in the day-to-day life in between their playing their video games and looking at their iPads, and actually going out there and doing what we did and going exploring and being out there by ourselves and getting our asses kicked and having to walk your bike 6 miles across town because it has a flat tire. And we didn't have access to cell phones. You can stop and make a phone call to somebody, but what good's it going to do? You still got to walk your ass home with your flat tire. So there is some of it that you can do, because we still do fun activities with our kids, and there's opportunities for them to experience similar things and teach them when they get knocked down, when they get hurt, that, I mean, what good's it going to do to sit here and just cry about it? Are you broken? Are you bleeding? Okay. I mean, they still need love and support, but it's important that we still teach them those same lessons, that it's only going to take a few minutes of this thing hurting real bad before you can get up and keep rolling. So, and then I've got 2 little girls, and that's, you know, there's a cross between like giving them the love and support and letting them know that you care about what just happened, and also just telling them you got to toughen up a little bit. It's not going to do you any good to sit here and cry about this. It's going to be done in 5 minutes, and then you can be off on your way. So every one of those opportunities that we get, man, we got to be taken full advantage of, because they're not going to get them the same way that we did. And we want to raise children that have an opportunity to be leaders and to be able to be high operators like we are, without having been exposed to that same type of stuff. So it makes me nervous, dude. I think about it like every day.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely played a role in like how independent we are, you know, like just being able to go out and do this kind of shit by ourselves when we were kids and get from point A to point B and back, and no matter what. And I mean, like I've came to terms, yeah, absolutely. And you know, to be able to replicate that with our kids, it ain't gonna fucking happen. But doing the camping trips, getting them the toys, and spending that valuable time with them, and like in that perspective, we can. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just a different culture, dude. Technology's changed everything. Fucking changed everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I've asked Dad, like, how did you do it? You know, like, I looking back at us, like raising us 4, you know, especially as single parents when they split and they had all 4 of us alone. You know, they had to deal with all 4 of us at once. That's a lot, man. Especially with I mean, how we got at each other as young kids, you know. And I commend Dad, like looking back at how Dad kept his cool, and even Mom too, you know, like they both definitely practiced a lot of patience with us. I mean, they had their moments when they snapped.
You get good as a parent at just tuning shit out.
Yeah.
Oh, like, dude, I remember, like, I could never talk to Dad back in the day, bro. Like, I was thinking about this the other day, actually, because when I had the boys, they're like, Dad. And I remember doing that to Dad back in the day. Hey, Dad, you know, Dad. And he wouldn't answer until, like, the 10th fucking time I said it. You know?
Every time I'm around you, I think of Dad, because I hear your boys calling your name, and I'm just like, he's still not answering, just like Dad did. God, that shit used to piss me off. Like, Dad.
Like you're pulling on his shirt. Dad.
Yeah, I mean, when you got 4 fucking stubborn kids asking you questions all day about random shit, you know,
you start creating a filter so it gets tuned out. And I mean, he did a phenomenal job with how much that side of him that we have all seen as fiery and as hot and as impatient as he is on the other side of that. He was pretty stinking patient with us.
Absolutely.
And so was Mom.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were a wild bunch of kids.
Yeah, and speaking of Mom's patience, we were talking about this the other day. Our last vacation.
Oh my God!
That we all went on.
That was a fun
Cali.
vacation.
Oh, it was amazing.
We talk about that so much. It was so memorable. And we were at an age where we were still kind of at each other's throats, and we were still antagonizing each other, and we could still get under each other's skin, just like one fucking sentence could set us off. But that trip was it was the most memorable trip that I have ever taken. Mom had planned it out. She used all of her credit cards, maxed them out, and she had planned it out every single detail. That was before GPS and cell phones, so she had
Papers.
an entire book
MapQuest.
Yeah.
of MapQuest directions printed out, and she knew every single turn we needed to take for the entire 5-day trip.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Didn't we have what was the car that we got again? Like a Navigator?
The Navigator.
Yeah, that car
I
was
had just
badass.
barely turned 16
And she let you
a
drive
few
it.
months before that trip. And I remember driving that Navigator around downtown San Diego, like nervous as all get out. This big, gigantic Navigator with my whole family in there, driving around the busy city streets. And then we went to that beach that one day, and I just barely bought that brand new skimboard. And then we all got in an argument, another one of our arguments where it started with Justin and Jacob, the two youngest, picking on each other.
Let's correct that. Justin picking on me to start, and then me retaliating.
Yeah. I mean, this was probably how 75% of all of our arguments started, was one of the younger brothers got in an argument. Somebody gets fired up, somebody's crying, and then I got to step in and handle it. But I don't know I can't remember exactly how this one played out, but
I remember
he's kicking
exactly
sand
how it
on
played
you.
out. Yeah, I remember exactly
And
how
then
it played out.
I was telling him to cut it out, and he kicked sand on me, and then I lose my fucking mind, start chasing him around the beach.
So he kicked sand on me. I kicked sand back on him, like a heap, just shovel full, pretty much, like covered his face. And then I knew when Justin's get pissed off because he just snaps. So I like book it, and he starts getting me into a tussle, and I just like reach behind my head, just sock him right in the nose. And I look around and I see his nose bleeding. I'm like, oh shit.
Blood.
As soon as I hurt Justin, that's when I know it's game over. It's like, okay. So then I book it again. He hits me, and then you were talking to him or something, and then he comes by you like, fuck you. Throws sand on you, and then that's when you snapped. That was
And then I
interesting.
chased him into
Into
the
the
water,
water.
right past the lifeguard station.
Uh-huh.
And I think that was a scary time for me, because I'd never really been in trouble with the police a ton at that point. I just barely 16 years old. And then these guys just saw me sock my brother in the water, and they're threatening that they're going to have to take me to jail. It's assault and battery, and I'm like scared to death.
They put it in Justin's hands. They're like, "Do you want us to take him in? Do you want us to arrest him?"
He's like, fuck yeah, arrest his ass.
Mom's standing in the back, freaking out, hysterical, dude, about to have it come apart, you know. And we were trying to talk you out of it, you know, because it's like, man, that would have been a poor way to end the family vacation.
Yeah.
Older brother getting arrested, putting handcuffs on the beach in front of everybody, you know, and mom watches him getting hauled away. So, yeah, that situation resolved. I think you ended up taking a big boulder, big rock after that.
Smashed his skimboard.
right into
Smashed my
the
brand new
skimboard.
skimboard.
He
Yeah.
grabbed two of them.
Yeah.
The first one wasn't good enough. So he
Savage.
grabbed
You
the
literally
second
bought it that day on the beach.
one that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
That
was
day.
brand new.
And that it was supposed to be like water sealed, like full resin encased, water sealed. And then because the water got in there, because the resin was cracked, then the whole board went like this. But just one of the many fights, arguments. But honestly, some people never go through that. And then that leads us into another cool concept, because we all work together. Like, I don't get to work with you guys every day anymore, but we all work together. And mom runs the office. Dad has a contractor's license and does all the measurements for us down in St. George and all of southern Utah. And it's a mystery to most people how we make it work. Because as soon as I tell people that I work with my entire family, mom and dad, that are divorced, and they have to handle each other because we all work together, and all my 3 little brothers, people's eyes are just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? How long have you been doing that? Because I would guess that it's probably not going to work for very much longer from most people's experiences. People have a hard time working with their family for whatever reason. But what do you think it is that makes it to where we work all so well together?
I mean, I talk about this with clients all the time, dude. You know, talking about JKR, what it means, you know, that we're family owned, and like every one of our family works together close. And that's the first thing that comes out of people's mouths is like, but how? You know, I've worked with my brother and my sister before. We couldn't get along. You know, most people didn't grow up the way that we did, beating the shit out of each other for the first 18 years of our lives, you know. But as soon as we would get done fighting, we'd cry, and then we'd go hug each other, and then tell each other we love each other. And so, like, that shows right there that we're super close, you know. The fact that we would fight, you know, give our brother a hug and be like, look, man, I fucking love you. I don't know why I did it. You know, but let's move on.
I think a lot of that had to come from mom too, because you know, dad wasn't very lovey-dovey on us and stuff. He just like smacked the hell out of us, like, stop. But mom kind of like, she would freak out, start, you know, crying. Obviously, she hated seeing us like that. Yeah. So she started teaching us from a young age, you guys love each other. What the hell are you doing? So once we were done with that, that's when we would like have that voice in our head, like, I love my brother. What the hell am I doing? Yeah. So that's why we would all start crying.
You know, we're not very emotionally evolved at a young age, so we listen to our emotions, and we get fired up, and we can't even contain ourselves. We got this, you know, we're all pretty fiery personalities, and we wouldn't listen to reason during those moments, so we would do things that we wouldn't normally do. And so I'd get done, like I'd say almost every single time this happened, we'd get done, and if somebody's hurting, and if somebody's crying, I'd feel bad about it, and I'm freaking crying and coming over to apologize and make it better, because I'm the big brother. I want you guys to look up to me, and the last thing I want is to create a divide between us. And because of every single one of those times that happened, and you guys seeing me come up and make the effort to make it right, as big of an asshole as I was, and as many crude and rude and ridiculous things that I said in those moments when you weren't thinking straight, I become pretty good at apologizing, because we don't always think straight when we're in emotional states. I do the same thing with my wife. I mean, I've said some rude, crazy things to my wife, but I'll be the first one to apologize, because these relationships are extremely important to me. And if you let those moments pass without getting that apology out of the way, then it builds a divide, it builds a wedge. You have animosity. And you can apply this to anything in your life, any relationship, no matter how small those things are. If you can approach it right away and make sure that person knows that you care and you're thinking about them, and you're taking it as personal as they are. And otherwise, you end up like most people do that can't work with their families, that are hard-headed, prideful, they won't apologize. And how many times have you heard of people that haven't talked to their brothers or even their mom and dad for years because of some silly bullshit?
Too many, man. And that's where, like, Justin, he brings that up in appointments. I do the same thing, because it's unique. Honestly, like, what we have, it's unique, and it's fun, too. Because, you know, not only do we work together, we play together too. We always, like, whenever we're in town, you know, because you live in St. George, whenever you're in town, whenever we're down there, we're always trying to get together, do something fun, go ride. Yeah. You know, just.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge contributor to why we're so close, is because we always did fun stuff together, and we were always doing dangerous shit together. Whether it was jumping bikes, or riding longboards, or riding rollerblades down the scariest fucking hills we could find, snowboarding,
luging skateboards down bountiful hills.
Yeah, and we've all got scars and broken bones to show for it. But those are the things that really bring you close together when you're in those moments. You know, not only being able to come back from all of the fights and the arguments and the crude and rude things, which Jared is probably the best at, because he's so fucking articulate and smart and knows how to just get right to your soul with what is going to affect you the worst in that moment and get you to lose your mind. But we were able to come back from all that and be better. And now, with all of those experiences that we have playing together, now we get to work together. And dude, this is the strongest team that you will find when we know each other like the back of our hands, and we care and love for each other more than any other team could.
So do you guys remember Mom and Dad making us hug after we'd fight? They'd like make us like apologize, hug each other for 5 minutes, you know? So I think we got in the habit of just like getting over it and like hugging it out, moving on to the next, on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get the time to stew and like think about, oh, I hate that guy, screw him, It's like we were hugging it out, saying we're sorry, and like get back to playing right then, So I think it was a good habit that we formed early on, be able to kind of get over it. I remember Jeff socking me in the face, and then 5 minutes later he's coming back crying. I'm sorry, Jared, I didn't mean it. It's like, and then he'd do it again and again. But.
I'm telling you, dude, you lose all your ability to reason with yourself when you're that emotional and you're not experienced with controlling your emotions. And we all get to see it in our kids, dude. They lose their fucking minds.
Oh yeah.
And there's no talking them out of it in those moments. We were the same way. They've got our blood running through their veins.
Yep. So I use a lot of the experiences that we went through. Same thing with our kids, Hug it out, get back to playing, because the sooner you get it over with, the sooner you get to have fun and enjoy each other's company.
Yep.
So, I mean, we talk about, some of the cool stuff we used to do as kids, like all the, the adventure stuff, got into dirt biking pretty early on, with the XR80, started jumping that thing around, full metal
That I
gas
blew up?
tank. And
Is that the one that I blew
that's
up?
the
You
one
blew it up.
Yeah, then shifted at it first.
I would love to find another one of those. That
Yeah.
was such a memorable
Hey,
motorcycle.
I tried. How old was I? Like 6?
I was 97 or 8. Yeah, when Dad
So I was
moved
like
to Logandale.
7.
So maybe you were
Moved to
7.
Logandale.
7 years old.
So-
7 years old, dude. I was so proud of you that day, dude.
I remember, dude. I remember getting on that thing, and then I could just hear you guys yelling in the background, but I was just stoked, like,
Wide open first gear, wrapped out.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't even think to teach you how to shift gears. We were just proud that you were riding that fucking thing.
We were just trying to teach you how to let go of the clutch and get
yeah,
it
man.
gas
A
and
7-year-old on
get
that kind of
going.
bike, that's pretty impressive.
It was, dude.
I say so myself.
Super impressive.
Hey, I appreciate that though, because Dad went and bought us new dirt bikes like
Yeah.
next week, right?
Yeah,
Went
you
and
guys
bought us,
got 80s,
legit
right?
YZ80s. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest things and that brought us so close together is that we pushed each other to get better and to like push our own limits, and we were stoked for each other when we would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a fucking great support system, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we grew
We
up
did.
building pedal bike jumps, and like Jeff would always make me jump them 1st. And then, then they got into the dirt bike jumps and just bigger, gnarlier and stuff. And it's like, man, he did it. Now I got to do it. We kind of pushed each other to the next level. You guys were a little more like just balls to the walls, just going for it and deal with the consequences later. I was a lot more calculated. So I sat back and like, okay, and then you go this fast and approach it at this angle. And then, this. So I would always want to figure things out. So it took me a little bit longer to kind of catch up, but it was cool. And Jacob didn't really, he was there riding with us, but the dirt bike in the younger age, he was kind of with Mom more. I mean, we get to do that with you now, though.
I mean, it's weird that how good Jacob is though on a fucking dirt bike with how little he rode.
Right.
Like
He
keep
keeps
up
up
with
with
us. Dude. Like,
I know, even like mountain biking.
yeah.
Like compared to how much time I have on a pedal bike throughout my whole life, I could hear that fucking thing, your back tires spinning right next to me the entire time. And I was like, I feel like I was hauling ass. Dude. I was like, how is he staying so close to me?
Yeah.
It's that natural talent, man. It's the
It is,
muscle
dude.
memory.
It's talent, and it's also confidence. Like you have got to be fucking confident to fly down those hills like that.
Yeah.
Without having like years and years of experience. Like you don't have the experience that I have on a pedal bike. So
Yeah.
it's impressive, especially when we go out and ride dirt bikes. And we are flying balls to the wall. We're faster than 90% of people on dirt bikes. And you hadn't ridden a fraction of what
I
we've
ride
ridden.
usually like once a year for the past 15 years.
And there you are right next to all of us.
Well, and that's the thing for me. It's like I've got 3 older brothers who I have to look up to, and I do look up to. So it's always been that competition mindset for me, and it's something that has pushed me to the next level as well. Like in everything that I do, it's like, could I do better? Could I do this better? And that's why whenever I get on a dirt bike, I'm probably not going to do all the jumps that you guys are doing, but I'll sure as hell keep up with you.
Yeah. That's the funnest type of riding anyways for me anymore, is that just the trails. You know that there's a level of risk that you're taking when you're going that fast. but it's not the same type of risk that you're taking when you're hucking a big
Same.
ass double.
120 foot down.
Yeah, I like trail riding.
Yeah.
That's my day.
The consequences are much higher, and there's certain jumps and things that we can still do, that I'll still do at the track, and the ones that are low level of risk, tabletop, big cushions to land on. But some of the stuff that we used to do, I mean, it blows my mind, the stuff that we would just go up to and shovel a little dirt off the top of that thing and just send it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, at the Arizona Strip, dude, we were damn good at that. Just find a little tiny hill, you know, if it had any sort of landing, dude, we would just like, we'd probably go, if we hit the left side, go at least 70, 80 feet. If we hit the right side, easily over 100 feet, you know, like just do a tiny ass little lip and then send it, dude, wherever out there. It was crazy. It's good shit.
And that's not only in just dirt biking too. Like whenever we go boarding, you know, if we go like wakeboarding, I don't think I've ever been wakeboarding with you guys, but I mean, we went wake surfing. You know, whenever we go and do these things, we push each other. And I dislocated the hell out of my shoulder when we went wake surfing. But after about 45 minutes of toying with it and Jared using his YouTube skills, being a YouTube doctor, we got it back in with about 5 people on top of me. But then after that, I was like, I want to go out again. And I went out and I just used my right arm.
That's crazy.
So
that was
resilience,
an interesting
man.
trip.
It was.
Yep.
It was still fun.
I mean, we've all had a good fair share of injuries too, which I think is a good character builder. You know, we didn't grow up getting babied and, you know, getting Band-Aids put on little scuffs and stuff. It's like, rub some dirt in it, get back up and keep riding, you know. And I think for all of us, we've all had pretty serious injuries, like broken backs and hips, broken feet and arms and legs, and shattered feet, and, you know, broken legs. And I mean, I've paralyzed shoulder. I think I've had 8 surgeries now so far. And to be able to get knocked down and get back up and keep going, you know, it's a high quality trait in people, not in just in their personal life, but in business too, because of what we do. You know, in sales, you experience a lot of rejection. You get knocked down. You got to get back up and keep going, though. You can't let it phase you.
Yeah.
So I think that's helped build a lot of resilience and help translate into the success that we have in sales. Just because of the confidence that we've had from the experience and, you know, doing the extreme stuff. And it's like, man, what's the worst that can happen? This person could tell me no. I've shattered my leg before on a dirt bike jump. You know, that's way worse than getting told no by somebody or, you know, having someone project their misery on you. So
Absolutely.
That
And
mental toughness.
It's also now that we're talking about the business, it's a pretty cool story how we all ended up here working with each other. Because 3 years ago when I started this thing, I just used to tell people that we all worked together before we ever did, any of us. It was just me and Chris Goodman. And I was telling people back from day one that I named the company after me and my 3 little brothers. We all work together, family business. My mom is I can't remember what I used to call her back then, but I think I would say that she ran my office, and my dad's a general contractor, and he does the installs. And it basically played out exactly the way that I was telling it from the beginning. But one by one, I got each one of you to come work with me. So first it was Mom. She wanted to get away from Wells Fargo. It's a miserable freaking place to work. And it was just planting the seeds. With each one of you guys, I was just planting the seeds from the beginning and trying to be as tactical as possible. I wasn't as tactical with some of you as I was with others because I had already known that you could do it. And so I talked a lot of shit also, like, how long are you going to stay at that shitty fucking dead-end job when you could be coming and working with me and making 10 times the amount of money? So that wasn't the most tactical approach. Obviously, it worked eventually after I got a little bit more.
I was kind of used to it. That's kind of how you guys peer pressure me into most things.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to get better because we love you and we want to support you
I
and
know.
make you feel like you've got a ton of fucking value, which you do. But I was so excited to get Mom, even though I was nervous as shit. Like, oh my God, dude, whatever I'm creating here, I have an opportunity to bring people into it. But now it's my responsibility to keep this thing rolling. Because if it doesn't keep rolling, I'm putting people's whole livelihoods at stake here. Mom was picking up her entire life that she had been involved with for numbers of years to come put her trust in me. And so it's a huge responsibility and it's scary, but that was kind of the beginning of understanding that I can really do something with this. I can create my own economy here. I can keep building something that multiple people can fit inside of and create something special for themselves and their families as well. And now Mom is making more money than she's ever made before, working for me. That feels fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to keep getting bumps and keep making more money than she's ever made. And without having done something out of the ordinary and taken risk, you don't have an opportunity to do that kind of stuff for your family. And then one by one, because of those seeds that I planted, it all lined up for each one of you guys to come work with me too. And if you think about the stories, each one of your guys' stories of how it ended up happening, we all have our own stories of how this played out, and they're all equally freaking badass.
Mm-hmm.
They're all pretty crazy. That's for sure. Jared broke his leg right in the middle of joining, or no, it was like right after.
I mean, that was kind of the catalyst. It
Yeah.
was just kind of the meant to be, the blessing in disguise. I mean, I had a fun job. I mean, for most people, it's pretty much a dream job.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to ride snowmobiles, ATVs, side by sides. I was a head tour guide, so I was on the mountain more than anybody. Making decent money, I was getting by okay. I definitely knew that I could do better, and there was many a times that I was up on the mountain thinking like, man, what's next? Having the same conversations with people day in and day out, answering the same questions day in and day out. It's like, man, I've got more potential than this, but it's fun. So it was kind of right after COVID hit. We were at the property, just got done finishing up the motocross track, dialed, and hitting jumps, having a good time. I think the three of us, me, Justin, and Jeff, were out there.
Yep.
And then Shandelli came with the girls and the pup cruiser to come watch, and they were hanging out just on the four-wheeler right next to one of the jumps. And cruiser jumps off the four-wheeler, comes to chase my tire right before this double. It's like a 45 foot double, and I hit the brakes. This is first instinct, hit the brakes to try to miss the dog because he's like 10 pounds, a little poodle mix. So I missed him by inches. Robert said that I barely, like a couple inches, if that. And I hit the brake, coasted off the jump, had not enough speed, and frame cased it.
Smashed your freaking foot.
Exploded my heel inside of my boot, and I landed, and I just pulled off to the side. Justin flies by me. I'm like, oh, Jared, stop. What's going on? And it's like, oh, yeah, I messed something up. I bended my leg because I broke my leg on that same side the year
Jared's
before.
like, I think I busted my fucking foot. Like pissed, dude.
Yeah, I was mad, dude. Yeah, because it was like I was just riding, having a good time, hitting perfect lines, dude. Like, just feeling so good. And then Cruiser.
the dog pulled out
Cruiser,
in front
yeah,
of you.
he was the wrench got thrown into the spokes pretty much, but I didn't kill him. Still alive to this day.
Yep.
And my foot's better. And that was kind of the cat. I'm like, I almost knew immediately, though, that I was probably going to get fired. And I'm probably going to go sell some windows. So it took me a couple weeks to come to terms with it, and then I started preparing. I started reading. I started studying. I started getting,
And you came in hot, man.
Yeah.
That was impressive what you did in the beginning, the preparation that you put in so you'd be prepared. And you came out of the gate hot and broke a bunch of records in the beginning.
Yep.
And then thoroughly impressed with what happened with you, too, when you first came on, because you had just got a promotion and were set to make more money than you'd ever made in the restaurant industry, and you pulled the plug on it.
Yeah, it was crazy how it worked because you had talked to me a few times about it, and I knew that like this promotion was coming up, like they had been talking to me about it, and me and you had a serious conversation, and at this time you got to remember, like I'm going through a divorce, just lost my kids, so I was having a hard time, like I wanted to change, and then I got pulled in. They're like, hey, we want to offer you this. You'll make over 6 figures. And I just knew if I committed that, I was going to be even more fucking miserable, And I hated the culture. I hated the vibe. I hated, the environment. And so I accepted it. And then the next day I went in there and told them, like, look.
You accepted the position.
I accepted
and then the
it.
next day.
And then the next day, because I accepted it, and I was like.
Like, gave you a stomachache or
Yeah,
what?
I was like sick, dude. I was like, fuck. you know, like I just committed to something I don't want to do. And so I went in the next day and told them, look, I'm going to go sell windows. They're like, what? What do you mean? Like, you just accepted the food and beverage director position, and what do you mean? You're gonna quit and go sell windows? I was like, yeah, I'm leaving in a couple days. And dude, it was crazy, you know. But I love kind of changes like that, like taking a risk, like that kind of shit gets me thrilled, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm committing, I'm gonna make it happen no matter what. If it takes time, it takes time. And so,
Which
yeah,
it
that's
did.
what I did.
It did, dude, because you were. It was completely out of your element. You'd been in the restaurant industry for
15 years.
15 years at that point. That's all you had ever known since you were a kid. And we'd done construction, so you had work ethic, but the restaurant industry was day and night, everything that you had done for 15 years straight, and it's a lot of hours.
Well, and you pretty much got to the top because it was it Talisker that offered you, or the Tuhey, or
So it was Talisker.
Right.
And, I mean, there is
director of food and beverage for
Director of Food and
Talisker Club
Beverage.
in
Yeah.
Park City.
Yeah.
You don't get much higher than that in like Utah for like corporate.
Right. I mean,
like
that would have
restaurant
been
positions.
that would have been the best. That would have been the best position up to that point in my career for my resume. After that, if I was there for 5 years, I could have gone anywhere I wanted to.
Right.
You know.
But you
But
said
I
for
didn't
years
want
and
to.
years that you were never going to cook again after you like your next job. But then that was like 4 or 5 jobs later where you kept staying in the restaurant industry. So
Yeah.
it
That's
came
what
to that
happens to
point.
most people because they're never willing to take that big chance on
Right.
themselves
Right.
and believe in themselves enough to just pull the plug on something and go try it. Because that's where you get comfortable. That's where you know that your security blanket is, and you know you can keep going back to make money because of your experience and your resume.
Yeah.
But dude, that took some balls to pull the plug on that thing. Like the day after you got the biggest position, the most money offered to you that you ever had.
And they
And
were
you
like,
pulled the plug
they
on
were
it.
seriously lost too. They're like, what do you mean? Oh, I was going to install. That's right. I was going to
Yeah.
run an
You're gonna
install
install.
crew. So they were
Because
like,
you were going to install, and it
Yeah.
was the intention was for me. I knew you were going to sell windows eventually,
right.
but I was selling you the dream on getting the fuck out of the restaurant industry. You know, it's the environment and the culture that you've been a part of that created the shit show that you're in right now. So let's get you a change of scenery, and if it has to be installs right now and making $2,000 a month to get you out of that, I mean that was cutting your pay into a third.
Oh, dude.
Well, you're paying child
that's why-
support. Half
yeah.
your money every month is going to child support, and you couldn't even really afford a place then. So you're living in your camp trailer,
Yeah.
parked in the back of Dad's house
Yeah.
in the dead of summer in St. George.
It was
Didn't have
taking
to
a
pay
huge
rent.
step back,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you saw it working, and you believed in yourself enough to know that you could make it work. And I think we both knew that it wasn't going to be installs.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I wasn't really sure. Like, I was fine with doing the installs and working with Dad, and like I had this vision, like I could, you know, if I had 1, 2, 3, 4 crews, you know, that I was managing and doing this, you know, like I had it played out to where I would make all right money if I was doing installs.
Yeah.
But then there came to a point where we slowed down, right? Where I was like, there's no more installs. We haven't gotten any work orders, you know. Where's all the homes? And
Yeah.
then you're like, we're done here. We're going to focus in Salt Lake. I was like, well, fuck, you know, what do we do? Then you're like, time to start selling windows. And so, you know, Jeff was working up in Salt Lake, gave me a script. I went up there. I studied it for a week, lived in Jared's house for a few days. And then, I got to selling, dude. And fuck, completely changed my life.
Well, you broke your back like a month after you started selling.
Yeah. No,
Got
I had
knocked down again.
I had a huge month, right? I made like $10,000 my first month, but that's back when it was at $500 a sale too, right? So made 10 grand my first month, and went out with Jeff, broke my back, and then you know, like it like I was like, damn it, you know, like I have finally like winning, you know, doing
And you had
great.
bought your truck already, hadn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like fully committed because when I
Yeah.
bought that truck, that's what I said. Like, all
Right.
right, now it's time to grind. You know, like I'm gonna buy this expensive shit to make sure that I continue to bust my ass. And then I broke my back, and then I was like, oh, shit, you know.
But then you're like, as soon as I can carry a window, you still had your back brace
yeah.
on. As soon as I can carry a window in and out of the house, I'm back running appointments
yeah.
again.
Dude, which you were.
You still had a broken back, and you're running appointments with a broken back and a brace on.
Yeah, so I think I was back in 3 weeks.
Yep.
3 weeks.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when you told me. I was
still
like,
couldn't even fucking sleep, dude. Couldn't lay down. I was
just like
still
Jared
miserable,
walking
but-
on his fucking foot.
Yeah, I
was
mean, when I came in, I was
Crazy.
4 or 5 weeks off of a broken heel. The doctor still wanted me in a boot for 3 more weeks, and I was walking around in a shoe, knocking doors. So you just do what you got to do, man, when it comes down to it. So
Absolutely.
And then Jacob coming in, it was kind of, he was the last one out. He was the oddball at that point.
Because
All three of
at
us
this
were in.
point, now we had Dad's doing installs. Both of you guys have come to
Slinging
sell
deals.
and having like a fantastic first month. Both of you guys making more money than you've ever made. So now we planted the seed enough with Jacob, and we had the family reunion.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And all weekend.
Jacob, you're the only one left, buddy.
I know, all fucking weekends. Yeah, so I mean, and technically, you know, like when you first moved up to Salt Lake, you'd given me the opportunity to like come work with you with RMK. And at that point, it was just a different culture. You hadn't gone through your metamorphosis, as it were, quite yet. And so, but I still, when I joined you, I still kept 1 foot in the door at Costco.
Yeah,
So I still
remember.
had, you know, the opportunity to run back if I wanted
Yep.
to. So after 3.5 weeks of one sale, I was like, I can't do this. I got a family. This isn't really, it's not working for me.
Yep.
So I went back, and then 2 years later, I think it was 2 years, that's when the family reunion happened. And yeah, you guys peer pressured the shit out of me. But it made sense. You know, it was just like, and it's a legacy, you know, and that's what JKR Windows is. This is my name too. And it's important. So like today when I went out, like this is my name on this shirt. I'm going to go represent this company. And that's what I've done ever since I joined, you know, like I'm proud to have taken a leap out of my 12-year career at Costco, if you could call it a career, because they kept shutting me down on promotions left and right for 3 years straight.
Yeah.
And at that point, dude,
You
I
were
was just,
an
I was done.
irresponsible punk ass kid. No wonder they were shutting you down. On
No, not towards the end, man. I was getting my shit together. Might have drank a little bit too much alcohol here and there,
Keyword
but
was getting it.
Getting
together.
yes, getting there. But you know, I was a hard worker, and when I was there, I was doing great things, and I was a great leader. And you know, when I had that, you know, weekend with you guys, it was just a click. And then I ended up,
It was finally time.
I ended up convincing Shelby to quit serving because she hated it. Every day she'd come home, you know, complain about people. And I'm like, all right, well, let's just take the leap. And I wish I would have left Costco on a little bit better terms. But at the same time, I severed my ties.
There
pretty
was
much.
no going back.
I was like, I severed it. I
fucking
was like,
care
I don't,
anyways.
they don't care, so I don't care. So that's pretty much what I did. Instead of keeping 1 foot in the door, I was like, we're going.
Yep.
Even if we have to travel, we'll make it work. We always do.
And you did, dude.
Burned
I'm
your
proud of you.
boats. You burned the escape route.
You
Yeah,
went all
it's-
in. That's the name of my book. You know that.
All in.
All in. We all have that mentality.
Yeah.
And some of us takes longer to let it out because of those natural human tendencies to keep 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So we have that plan B. But dude, once you did it, that's why you had to do it that way, because you knew how you did it last time and you didn't want it to play out like that again. You got to burn the fucking boats.
No, and
so
I
you can go all in.
I saw the success of Justin, and just knowing Justin's personality and all of our personalities, we're all pretty good persons. And I know that, like with my time with Costco, I'm really good at talking to people, and I'm really good at, like, whoever I'm in front of, I can kind of mold to who they are, be really, you know, understanding, empathetic,
Yeah.
and move forward and you know, get these people to like you. That's the whole point of being a salesperson. I don't like being called a salesperson. I'm a helpsman.
Helpsman. So
I'm
now
there to
you've-
help you.
Now you've been able to take those skills and actually apply them towards something that can help you make a good income. And last month you were the highest producer in the fucking company.
Yeah, it was a
pretty
pretty
impressive.
fun month, man. I mean, Justin, Justin was gone for a couple weeks, so I
Right.
kind of took up on
Well,
the sales,
you gotta-
but I still
got to be
did it.
here to be a high producer, and you showed up that month. How much did you make last month?
I think close to 18K. And then followed up from, I think it was 20K the month before.
Wow.
$40,000. $40,000 in 2 months ain't bad, huh?
It's not bad, man.
That's
That's what I made in 20.
that's $250,000 a year. We
Yeah.
need to make sure you have your shit together for your taxes, or you're going to get hosed.
Oh, dude, I know. Well, I just did them, so I hope I did it right, you know.
Well, it's cool. You know, another thing, as you were saying that about representing the company and being proud of it, is we've also created a culture where not everybody is a part of our family, but we have a strong culture that people want to be a part of, and it's our name out there on those freaking yard signs. So we're proud of, not only proud of what we do, but we stand behind what we do, and we're trying to create something special here with a replacement window company that's going to educate people, stand behind what we do, and offer the highest level of customer service that anybody can possibly offer. And we grew significantly last year, so it helped us realize the kind of fulfillment program that we need to build out to be able to stick to that, because we're going to grow this thing to $100 million. And the one thing that we're going to keep consistent and that most companies won't is our fulfillment at a high level, the customer service, the attention to detail, and making sure that we have the service after the sale to maintain that all the way through till we become the biggest in the United States, the biggest in the world. And I think because it's the family thing, and because it's as much pride as we take in this thing, and as much pride as other people will take in it because of the same reasons, it gives us a leg up on creating something special. Because everybody else just has a freaking name and some core values on the wall, but there's no substance. They don't have a story like we have to back it up. And so that's my favorite part of doing this, dude, is coming in here and talking about what we're doing and why we're doing it and the vision and what we stand for. So I wish we could record every freaking meeting that I get to speak at with you guys, because that's when I'm in my element, talking about the things that get me fired up the most. So we need to get some cameras mounted so we can capture all of those moments. Right? And then when I'm not here, dude, I'm relying on you guys to do that same thing. I can't be here to drop the bombs all the time. You guys, I know you're fucking good at it too. And I don't get to see it, I don't get to see it when I'm not here. So I'm not sure what it's like, what the dynamic is without me. But the more consistent we can be with that, the more it trickles down into the rest of the organization. Because everybody has a pretty good idea of what we stand for. But the louder we are about it, the more consistent it is.
It's really all about leading from the front, being the example, leading in production, leading in, personal development, being the one that's doing the work, that's putting in the time, so you can then help coach and train other people to do the same thing. We want to produce leaders. I mean, the good thing about leaders, or the biggest identifying factor with leaders, is that they create other leaders, right? Those are the best leaders out there, the ones that create other leaders. We're not here to create a bunch of minions and employees and clones. We want to create people that can lead other people. So I think that's what attracts people to the company, to the culture, and to us, is that we want to help people out. We want to help people grow and progress and to get better and to become the best version of themselves, and fulfill their highest potential. So.
It is, man. It's an opportunity to bring people into our culture so that they can change the trajectory of their life and have an opportunity to do something special, be a part of something special. And we've been able to see it with so many people now. With Bond, with Tristan, with McKay, with some of these other guys that are making more money than they've ever made, being exposed to a culture and environment that they would normally never be able to be exposed to outside of JKR Windows. Because this type of culture and environment just doesn't exist on this level anywhere else. And we gotta maintain it, we gotta protect it with everything that we have, so we can keep that consistent and keep supplying people with that opportunity to be a part of something like this. Because literally we are changing people's lives. Like, these guys will never be the same for after being exposed to what we have here, being able to make this type of income. It ruins you forever. You make $100,000 a year as a punk-ass kid, you are ruined forever. You can't ever go back to a regular fucking job making $60,000, bringing home 40. How you going to do that when you know what you're capable of doing?
Mm-hmm.
So it changes your belief system, changes your belief level and your confidence in yourself to go out and do hard shit because you've seen other people do it and you've been witness to it. It's a pretty special thing. Right?
Absolutely.
Pretty awesome, man. I mean,
That was fun, boys.
Mm-hmm.
That was damn fun. And that was what I was trying to get out of this, because I knew that we could just bullshit and not offer much substance or value by just telling stories. But we did a swell job at mixing in the value and the substance and the things that people can take and apply to their lives, with the family, with the culture, with doing hard shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
work hard, play hard, man.
Work hard, play hard, and we're damn good at that.
Yep. Had an epic bike ride this morning. Planning another one tomorrow.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, just gotta make time for all the important things, and that's playing, working, family, personal development.
Yep.
And
Everywhere we go, I talked about this morning. Like, we have a presence about us that we've been being told we have our entire lives. And we can either choose to do positive with it or not. Because I still had that presence when I was the fucking guy on the couch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I was still a badass motherfucker when I was the guy on the couch. Everybody looked up to me, even though I was a fucking guy on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it, and I knew it, and I knew that wasn't who I truly was. But I was able to make some changes and realize that if I start changing some of these things that I'm doing and create better habits and start being an example of somebody that operates at a high level, I can have that same impact on people and that same presence, but just on a much higher level, and have better communication skills and be around a different set of people, and to be able to do things that the guy on the couch just isn't able to do. Because I was a damn good guy on the couch too. But I like where I'm at right now a lot better and where I'm going. And I'm glad you guys are fucking here with me, because we're going to do some big things. And we have an opportunity to help a lot of people and make an impact on a lot of people's lives because of who we are and what we're capable of doing and where we're going.
absolutely.
Amen.
Right on. Episode 14 in the books. That's my favorite one so far. And if you guys can, if you did get some value out of this, like and share this thing with somebody who could hear this, who would need to hear this message. We dropped a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience between the four of us. And there's people that need to hear these types of messages that could make a difference in their lives and change the trajectory of their lives. Trajectory. You know what I'm talking about. So keep following back up with us. We're going to be here every week dropping as much knowledge and value as we possibly can. And we are rebranding the Jefferson Rogers podcast. I'm not sure what it's going to be called yet, but it's going to be something like All In with Jefferson Rogers. Because everything to me in this life, to get me to where I've gotten to this point, is because I got that mentality of just going all in. I get focused on something, and I'm ready to go all in. Thanks for checking in, you guys. Until next time.